Welcome everyone. I'm Sherold Barr from SheroldBarr.com, and today I have a special guest. I'm thrilled to introduce you to Brad Yates. And Brad is a emotional freedom technique practitioner and someone that I've admired from afar online because I absolutely love his videos. Brad teaches everyone from elite athletes to CEOs and actors and people struggling with addictions how to master their emotions. And he uses what we call the emotional freedom technique. It's also known as EFT, to help people overcome fear and stress to improve their lives. And I love the fact, Brad, that you graduated from Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey Clown College. That is so awesome. So welcome, and it's just a pleasure to have you here. I thank you. And one of the things I told you off camera here before we started was that I work with a lot of women entrepreneurs who are starting businesses. This business I'm in now is my second one, and I've been doing this since 1996, and I've been kind of a pioneer in virtual work. I know what it's like to work in isolation and to be left with our mind. As Anne Lamott says, my mind is like a bad neighborhood that I don't want to go into alone. And so a lot of the work I do with my clients is helping them get out of fear, and I'm into excavating the beliefs underneath a lot of our limiting thoughts and beliefs. So that's the reason I wanted to have you on, because you have just an expansive video collection up on YouTube. So if you would just talk about, let's start off with, what is EFT?
All right. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. I'm always grateful for the opportunity to share this work with folks who may not be familiar with it or are just getting started with it, especially clearing out those limiting beliefs that stop us from being who we can be and sharing what we can share to make the world a better place. So thanks for this opportunity.
You're welcome.
So EFT, also commonly known as tapping. A lot of people just hear tapping. It's a process originally based on acupuncture. So for thousands of years in Chinese medicine, they've said there's a flow of energy through pathways called meridians flow along the body. And when this energy is flowing naturally, we experience our natural state of well-being, physically and emotionally. And when the energy gets stuck, we don't feel so good. And we don't think so well, and we don't make the best choices, and all kinds of unfortunate consequences. So in traditional acupuncture, they would stick needles in key points to stimulate the healthy flow of energy. And with EFT, we're just tapping with our fingertips. And for anyone who's new to this, don't let that scare you off. I know it looks a little strange, but the benefits are worth it. We even have modern research showing that it dramatically lowers stress. We can see cortisol, which is one of the stress hormones, is reduced when we're doing the tapping. And most, if not all, issues, both physical and emotional, have at least some element of stress related. So that's why we find that the tapping can be beneficial in so many different areas of life, because we're dramatically reducing the stress involved.
I always say try EFT because it's really fast. You know, if you're in a situation, how does EFT help people with limiting beliefs? In the work we do, there's universal beliefs. And these are, I like to use the metaphor of like data farms. And those universal beliefs live over there in those data farms, and we're all just, depending on the day, picking one, and it could be, who do you think you are to do XYZ, which means showing up, or I'm not good enough, or any flavor of that. I'm not thin enough, rich enough, expert enough, smart enough, whatever, enough. That goes the gamut. How would EFT help with those beliefs when they come up?
Well, we pick these things up from experiences in our childhood, mostly. I think, I like to refer to what I call the Michelangelo process, because Michelangelo said, the statues are already there, perfect, inside the marble. I just have to chip away what doesn't belong to reveal the magnificence inside.
I love that.
And to me, that's how I look at people. The magnificence is already in there. There's all this extra marble, these beliefs of I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not smart enough, I have guilt, I have shame, and things like that. And those are there to protect us. All the issues that we have are there to keep us safe. We pick things up in our childhood about either we're told by somebody who can't see the truth that we're not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Someone may say, "Who do you think you are trying to achieve this? You'll never be worth anything." And that's for people who have some serious issues going on. They may even think that they're helping us. Whether it's a parent or a teacher or someone else, trying to say, you know what, don't go into life thinking that you're good and that good things are going to happen to you because you're going to be disappointed. So let's just deal it up front that, you're not going to be worth anything. So they may even think they're doing us a favor. Really twisted thinking,
Yeah.
but that's the best they can do. People are always doing the best they can in any given moment.
I believe that too.
So based on the circumstances and based on their programming.
Mm-hmm.
So happy, healthy people don't say those things, but a lot of people are not trained to be happy, healthy people.
Mm-hmm.
So we take on these beliefs, these ideas, either from someone saying to us we're not good enough, or in our young mind making that decision. We're given an oral report in the third grade, and we trip over our words, and everybody laughs at us. And something says, people don't like me. I'm not worthy of respect. I'm not good enough. And so we make that decision at a very young age. So someone's saying, when we have a really important decision to make, like, we're going to buy a house, and we're looking at a couple of different houses, how often do we say, you know what, I think I'll go down to the kindergarten and I'll get a couple of 6-year-olds together and I'll ask them what they think I should do. I'll take my stock portfolio and ask them, what do you think I should invest in? And it's like, no, that's crazy. Why would I ask a 6-year-old for advice? It's like, but you do it all the time.
Oh, that's a great analogy. I love that.
So we're asking ourselves, should I apply for that job? Should I go up and ask that person out on a date? Should I do this? It's like, are you kidding? No. That 6-year-old inside that says it's not safe.
Mm.
So we're trying to protect ourselves. So fear and stress comes up when we try to do that. And even when we try to say, I am good enough, depending on how long we've been holding this belief that we're not good enough, trying to change that is stressful.
Mm-hmm.
So, the amygdala in our midbrain starts to react and go, ooh, danger. The same way it would have reacted, 100,000 years ago if there was a saber-toothed tiger in the area. It's still, freak out, freeze. We're not able to make clear choices. We're not able to make good decisions. And we retreat into our comfort zone. We may go and look for a drug of choice. It's going to be a cigarette or chocolate or something like that, that numbs us out and makes us just, settle down. Let's wait till this feeling that I want to change passes. And then we go back to life as we understand it, what we expect, and part of us says, yeah, it might be crap, but hey, it's my crap. I know where it is. I know how to deal with it. So that's what happens. When we try to make a change, when we try to look at things in a different way, when we try to look at ourselves in a different way, we experience stress because it doesn't feel safe. Mm-hmm. So with the tapping, we're calming that down. We're calming down that stress response, that fear response, so that if I say, you know what, I am good enough to apply for that job or whatever it might be, part of me might be going, no. But as I tap along and I start to recognize, okay, wait a minute, why am I thinking that I'm not okay? Well, but remember that thing that happened in the third grade, or remember what mom said when you were 5 and all this? And we start to realize that didn't mean I wasn't good enough. Mom was in a bad mood. I messed up on a word. Kids laughed. I've laughed at other people. It didn't mean they weren't good enough. And we start to recognize that these aren't truths. And to me, that's where we're chipping away the excess marble, and we're getting to that place where we know inside, instinctively, I'm a magnificent child of the universe. Of course I'm good enough.
These are the thoughts. Everything you just mentioned is what stops people from doing what they really desire to do, and maybe what they're here for, using their gifts and talents. So that's why I love your work, and I'm like I said, it's amazing the scope of what you've got up there now, which is pretty awesome. How would somebody start, like if they have this limiting belief or fear, how do they pick the setup phase? And then I know we do the karate chop and kind of work on that. So can you explain, break it down, and then maybe we can have you demo it?
When we're doing tapping, it's great if we can be very specific. So if we can look back and remember something like, oh, that time in the third grade where everybody laughed at me.
Oh, I have
And,
one we could do. When I was about 6 and introduced in my first play, I was a lady in waiting, and all of the little kids went one by one in front of the big blue velvet curtain. When I went out there, my brother got all of his friends to boo. I mean, if people can just remember these are the things that come up when you're later in life, and it's like, am I going to go out there and they're going to boo? I'm not conscious about it, but that would cause a lot of fear.
absolutely, because your mind decided this is not a safe situation. This was really painful.
Oh, I
You
want
know,
it to disappear. Yeah.
it's and it and this isn't something that's bad or stupid. This is a survival mechanism.
Hmm.
If we're a kid and we go up and we touch a hot burner on the stove, we feel pain, and something in us says, "Okay, lesson learned. Don't do that again." Which is a good thing.
Yes.
We don't want to have to every time we go into the kitchen and go, "Huh, the burner's red. I wonder if it'll hurt this time." We have to learn things quickly, because if we had to sit there and figure things out all the time, then we couldn't function. So you went up there, you went out, experienced pain, and part of you said, all right, so don't do this again. And then we just file it away, so that even before you're up there and can ask, oh, is this safe? Your mind is going, oh, there's an opportunity to be on stage. Hey, look over there. There's a sale on aisle 5. Go check that out. And
Let's go shopping instead.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it happens so fast that we're not even aware
Hmm.
that there was an opportunity that I was going to miss over there. It happens so because it's happening quickly and at a level totally designed to protect us. So it's great when you can remember a particular event like that. Not everyone remembers these events. They're just aware of, I'm not doing what I want to do.
Hmm.
I'm holding myself back. Ask someone, okay, close your eyes, take a deep breath, imagine doing what you want to do. And, say it's public speaking.
Hmm.
And I'll say, imagine being on a stage and out there in front of people. What do you feel on a scale of 0 to 10? How much anxiety comes up? Where do you feel it physically? So they may not have any recollection, any conscious recollection of when they decided that this was dangerous. But they can tell what they feel right now, and so we'll tap on what they're feeling in that moment, and we'll start there. And in the process of tapping, it's often like peeling the layers of an onion.
Oh.
So we going through and all this anxiety. Oh my goodness! I remember when I was in the 6th grade and I went in front of everybody, and my brother had everybody boo.
Wow.
And because we've locked that away, because it's not safe to remember what that is. Part of us wants to block us from even figuring it out, because it's like, look, this has gotten us this far. We're still alive, right? So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Why do you want to go messing with anything if you're still alive? We're surviving. We're doing what we're meant to do. That part is going to say, yeah, you don't need to see that stuff that's back there. Pay no attention to the events behind the curtain. And if we go looking, we'll often feel stressed. So that's why I'll say, if you're not sure what it is now, let's just start tapping anyway, because as you're tapping, you're going to start to clear the fear, and you're going to feel safer remembering what might have gone on.
Right.
And then I'll give suggestions for, okay, either as we're tapping, allowing yourself to be aware of what those events were, or simply clearing the fear sight unseen. Because sometimes we don't need to know what the event was. It's like, you have your trash can in the kitchen, and you throw stuff in there, and then you take the bag at the end of the week and you go and you drop it in the big garbage can. Very few of us go out there and then go, oh, okay, let's review what this week's trash is. All right, here's the milk carton I finished off yesterday. Oh, here's the egg carton from a few days ago. We don't have to know what all is. We just drop it and clear it.
That's
So
great.
sometimes we need to know for our highest good, and sometimes we just let it go, such that when I have the person then imagine being on stage, and they're like, I feel fine. This is actually pretty cool. I like the idea of being in front of people. I like the idea of being able to share what I have to share.
Hmm.
Because we become more aware of the fact that I am good enough, and I have something to offer, and I'm excited about sharing that.
I love that. I love that.
When you think about this event where your brother's friends all booed you,
Okay.
is there still emotion coming up around that?
It's interesting. It came up when I was in master coach training because I noticed it was like performance anxiety.
Hmm.
So I think it comes up as subtle performance anxiety. It could be I'm going to offer a program, and what if people don't show up? Or I think it's very subtle. Back to this, I do feel performance anxiety. And this was a coaching kind of marathon where people were pulled off and on to coach,
Hmm.
and it floated up that night. I hadn't been aware of this thought, and then it just appeared and came to me. I was conscious of it. So it was really interesting that it came up from a pressure situation.
Okay. Well, let's do this, Cheryl. Go ahead. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath.
Okay.
And anyone watching, you can go ahead and go through this too. And think about any events that comes to mind that might cause limiting beliefs. So thinking back to this time crossing in front of the blue curtain, and just follow your breath through your body. Just check in with yourself. Notice what you feel physically. Notice what you feel emotionally, and just allow yourself to be aware without judgment, because there's no right or wrong here.
Hmm.
Just without judgment, allowing yourself to be aware of any discomfort, any anxiety, any fear, any anything that's coming up, and rate that on a scale of 0 to 10. 10 being, oh my God, I'm still freaking out about that.
When I thought about it, I had a lot of, I don't know, it's a physical sensation on my shoulders and
Mhm.
back.
Okay.
And because I got into the place of being that little girl and I was frozen and it was very anxious. So I would say when I can go back there, an 8. I would say it's still there. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, and this happens a lot. If I had a nickel for every time someone, I'll say, well, so what comes up, and someone will say, well, I had this argument with my dad, but I've done a lot of work on that, so I'm done with it. And we'll start tapping, and sometimes they'll break down in tears,
Oh,
and it's like, maybe not so much. And it's not that it's not that the work you haven't done isn't effective.
yeah.
There are elements that we allow ourselves to go, okay, that's enough, because it keeps us safe.
I
You know,
think it is subtle because I can go on stage, I can do all that. I think it's a more, like I
yeah,
said, I sense it when I'm creating something and I'm about to put it out in the world.
yeah,
I can see, I call it performance anxiety. So I don't know, but
yeah.
that's interesting. So yes, let's work it. Let's see what we can
So,
do.
so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a more generalized wording, but I
Hmm.
want you to keep that in mind. And for anyone else who chooses to go through this with us, uh, keep in mind whatever events might have come up for you. And so I'll do some fairly general wording to cover, so it'll cover a lot of things. But as you keep in mind that particular event, then the clearing work will be beneficial on that.
Okay.
And I'll just be tapping through the points. And Sherold, if you'll repeat back the phrases after
Okay.
me,
All
and
right.
so everyone watching, just go ahead and do what I do and repeat back. Quick caveat here, because we're dealing with emotional stuff. If you're going to clean your living room and it looks pretty clean, but then you move the rug and you find, oh, I've been sweeping dirt under the rug for a while, and suddenly it looks worse. As you start cleaning, it suddenly looks worse than it did before. That can happen with tapping. We're dealing with emotional stuff, so you may be thinking I'm feeling fine, but just like this, where I've said, okay, now think about it, and all of a sudden this anxiety and then level 8 comes up that hadn't been there
Hmm.
because you're lifting the rug and looking underneath.
Hmm.
If for anyone watching, if you suspect that maybe you've been sweeping like barrels of toxic waste under there, and maybe you're going through a really tough time and there's a lot of emotional stuff, and Lifting the rug right now without anyone there for emotional support might not be a good idea. You might want to take that into consideration, maybe consider working with a professional. So if you choose to tap along, you must take full responsibility for your own well-being. I mean, it's a safe process. In general, I've never had that experience where anyone's like, oh no, I was watching this interview with Brad and it totally freaked me out. But you never know.
It's a good disclaimer for you to make.
That being said, everyone close your eyes, take a deep breath. And say, I'm good enough.
I'm good enough.
Especially in thinking about something you'd like to do that you maybe struggle with. Maybe putting yourself out there on the internet, on stage, whatever it is. And just rate that on a scale of 0 to 10. 10 being, yeah, of course I'm good enough. And to the extent that it's not a 10, don't judge yourself harshly. If it's a 2, that doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It just means that you've got a lot of beliefs about why it wouldn't be safe. And if you're aware of particular events, like this Blue Curtain event, then just bring that to mind. So now tapping on the side of the hand. Even though I sometimes doubt I'm good enough.
Even though I sometimes doubt I'm good enough.
I choose to love and accept myself anyway.
I choose to love and accept myself anyway.
Even though I sometimes doubt I'm good enough.
Even though I sometimes doubt I'm good enough.
I choose to love and honor myself anyway.
I choose to love and honor myself anyway.
Even though I sometimes doubt I'm good enough.
Even though I sometimes doubt I'm good enough.
And it makes me afraid to put myself out there.
And it makes me afraid to put myself out there.
Because if I'm not good enough, there are going to be consequences.
There are going to be consequences.
And they could be very painful.
They could be very painful.
And I want to protect myself.
And I want to protect myself.
And part of me believes
that
doubting my worthiness keeps me safely in my comfort zone. And even though I sometimes doubt I'm good enough, I choose to deeply and completely love, honor, and accept myself. And maybe anyone else. Including my brother. Who might be involved in these fears. All these doubts about being good enough.
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 All these fears that I might not be good enough.
All these fears that I might not be good enough.
There may be a part of me.
There may be a part of me.
Deep inside.
Deep inside.
That knows that I'm plenty good enough.
That knows that I'm plain good enough.
About 4 inches below the armpit. All these doubts.
All these doubts.
That get in the way of knowing this.
That get in the way of knowing this.
Maybe at one point in life.
Maybe at one point in life.
I actually thought I was good enough.
I actually thought I was good enough.
And then something happened.
And then something happened.
I was told that I wasn't good enough.
I was told that I wasn't good enough.
Or I went through some experience.
Or I went through some experience.
And I decided I wasn't good enough.
And I decided I wasn't good enough.
Not because I'm bad or stupid.
Not because I'm bad or stupid.
But because I was trying to protect myself.
But because I was trying to protect myself.
Something in me said.
Something in me said.
This is dangerous.
This is dangerous.
This is painful.
This is painful.
I need to avoid this.
I need to avoid this.
And if I tell myself I'm not good enough.
And if I tell myself I'm not good enough.
Then I'll keep myself safely in my comfort zone.
Then I'll keep myself safely in my comfort zone.
And I'll avoid ever putting myself in this position.
And I'll avoid ever putting myself in this position.
Part of me thinks this is a really good plan.
Part of me thinks this is a really good plan.
Part of me still thinks it's a good plan.
Part of me still thinks it's a good plan.
I'm still here, aren't I?
I'm still here, aren't I?
Apparently it's working.
Apparently it's working.
Except I'm aware now.
That
this is holding me back.
That this is holding me back.
It's stopping me from doing things.
It's stopping me from doing things.
That I think I'd really like to do.
That I think I'd really like to do.
And maybe I'll still do them.
And maybe I'll still do them.
But I don't enjoy them as much as I could.
But I don't enjoy them as much as I could.
I don't do them as often as I might.
I don't do them as often as I might,
Without even knowing it,
without even knowing it.
I may be avoiding all kinds of opportunities.
I may be avoiding all kinds of opportunities.
Not because I'm bad or stupid,
Not because I'm bad or stupid,
but because I'm trying to protect myself.
but because I'm trying to protect myself.
And I'm open to the possibility
And I'm open to the possibility
that even though this might have worked in the past,
that even though that this might have worked in the past,
maybe I don't need it now.
maybe I don't need it now.
Maybe I don't need this fear anymore.
Maybe I don't need this fear anymore.
Maybe I don't need this doubt anymore.
Maybe I don't need this doubt anymore.
It might be safe now
It might be safe now
to begin to believe
to begin to believe
that maybe I really am good enough.
that maybe I really am good enough.
Maybe more than good enough.
Maybe more than good enough.
Maybe it's possible
Maybe it's possible
that I'm pretty freaking awesome.
that I'm pretty freaking awesome.
And I should be shared with the world.
And I should be shared with the world.
I could make the world a better place.
I can make the world a better place.
I'm plenty good enough.
I'm plenty good enough.
I'm clearing the doubts about that.
I'm clearing the doubts about that.
Releasing any fear
Releasing any fear
of acknowledging how awesome I am.
of acknowledging how awesome I am.
And part of me might say,
And part of me might say,
oh, don't say that.
oh, don't say that.
That's bad.
That's bad.
People won't like you if you say that.
People won't like you if you say that.
And you might put yourself out there
And you might put yourself out there
and allow yourself to be seen.
and allow yourself to be seen.
And that can cause pain.
And that can cause pain.
All these reasons
All these reasons
why I couldn't or shouldn't put myself out there.
why I couldn't or shouldn't put myself out there.
I'm clearing these fears now.
I'm clearing these fears now.
Clearing them at a cellular level
Clearing them at a cellular level
and all the way back through my past.
and all the way back through my past.
Back through all those events in my life
Back through all those events in my life
where I may have gotten the message
where I may have gotten the message
that I wasn't good enough,
that I wasn't good enough,
that it wasn't safe to believe I was good enough,
that it wasn't safe to believe I was good enough,
that it wasn't safe to put myself out there.
that it wasn't safe to put myself out there.
And I love and forgive that part of me
I love and forgive that part of me
that made that decision
that made that decision
and has been trying so hard
and has been trying so hard
to keep me safe all these years.
to keep me safe all these years.
And I'm allowing myself to look at the past now
And I'm allowing myself to look at the past now
and see the truth.
and see the truth.
Maybe what happened
Maybe what happened
isn't really what I thought happened.
isn't really what I thought happened.
Maybe it had nothing to do with me.
And maybe it had nothing to do with me.
It had to do with someone's bad sense of humor,
It had to do with someone's bad sense of humor,
or their bad mood,
whether they were in a bad mood
or something else going on inside of them.
or something else going on inside of them.
And it didn't mean anything about me.
And it didn't mean anything about me
Because I'm awesome.
because I'm awesome.
And I was awesome back then.
And I was awesome back then.
And I'm allowing myself to feel awesome.
And I'm allowing myself to feel awesome
In body, mind, and spirit.
in body, mind, and spirit.
Take a deep breath.
Wow.
Go ahead and close your eyes again and think and say again, I'm good enough.
I'm good enough.
And if you can, if there was a certain event that you were remembering, allow yourself to bring that to mind. So Sherold, go ahead and think of yourself as that little girl walking in front of the blue curtain. And if that was if the anxiety was at an 8 before, what does it feel like now?
It feels like 0.
Awesome. Well done.
As you were tapping, I started to feel better and better and better and better. And I just thought, wow, I never even intended to do this, that we would do this today. Yes, because this is that little tiny girl that was so innocent. And as you were saying, and maybe this didn't really even happen. I mean, yeah, who knows what really happened?
There was nothing that was wrong with you as you crossed that blue in front of that blue curtain.
Absolutely.
Your brother's sense of humor. Brothers do stupid things.
Well,
Sisters
heck,
people in general do stupid things without realizing.
Yeah.
They say that there's no expression, that there's nothing so cruel as an unthinking child.
Oh, that's
You
interesting.
know, and this is why I wrote a children's book, was because I was working with all these adults, and the things that were holding them back were things that had happened in childhood. I thought, if I could introduce this to kids,
Yes.
and if that night after you'd been booed off the stage, if you
Yes.
had read this book and done some tapping,
Yeah. It would have been a different
it would,
scenario. I know. That's so true. Well, this is such extraordinary work. I'm so happy to have had the opportunity to talk to you and to share this with my people, because I would say to anyone listening to this, I would say go to your YouTube channel. And I want to say that your website.
I have a new site that's easier to remember, tapwithbrad.com.
Do you still do private work if someone wanted to work with you on something?
I still do a few sessions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so great. So that's how they can get a hold of you, and or they can go straight to your YouTube channel, which is fantastic, I have to say. So thank you so much for being with us today, and I'm so happy to share this with my people, and we'll take it out to social media as well. So
Awesome.
thank you
Well,
so much.
my pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome.
I think it's pretty obvious that I love what I do. So
Oh, it's so obvious. And I see that in your videos as well. So that's why I felt like I knew you before. So now I do have that sense. So thank you so much.